emerge on a very sombre night here at Bellevue, as we continue to remind you, the crowd here remembered 20-year-old Leon Walker before the match, who so sadly passed away during the reserve team game in Maesteg last weekend against the Celtic Crusaders, and the Wakefield club have dedicated tonight to his memory. So St Helens, in the shape of young Johnny Lomax, about to get the second half underway here. Youngsters certainly are coming through. Johnny Lomax, the fourth teenager to make his debut this year after Andrew Dixon, Matty Ashurst, who is here tonight, and Tom Armstrong. And the kick-off, well, it nearly found its way to the dead ball line, but that's wonderful St Helens defence. The referee comes to Wakefield's rescue there with a big shout of held. It was a great kick-off, it had hang time, the ball bounced in the in-goal area, and it means that Wakefield have got the devil's own job here now to move the ball away from their own goal line. 3 tackles gone, 12 metres made forward. Atkins was the man who played the ball there. Brough is asking the referee for a penalty. There's nothing forthcoming.
Well, he tried to milk it. He could see that they were very slow to get back to 10, and he is furious.
This is Danny Sculthorpe now. Danny Sculthorpe, of course, his brother Paul played with distinction for St Helens. The kick is not a good one, straight down the throat of Lomax.
We mentioned in the first half that the kicking game from Danny Brough, not the best, also from Scott Griggs as well. 2 beautiful little short kicks. That's the one thing that Danny Brough is capable of, where nearly created a try, just knocked on just before the half-time from Griggs. Of course, they've created the first within barely seconds for Steve Snitch. But after that, I'm afraid, the long kicking game from the Wildcats has been poor.
This is Marek Farsavalou. He goes down on the 4th tackle on the 30-metre line, as you can see. Cunningham looking right, coming left. Gives it then to Pulatuya. Tony Pulatuya. Such strength. Still going, Pulatuya. Down he goes eventually on the last. He made 12 metres further progress then. This is Cunningham. Cunningham to Wheeler. Oh, an interception! Over the top, and Danny Brough's away. I'll tell you what, Brough is quick, but so too is Price, and so too is Lomax. And Brough comes back on the inside and slips at the vital moment, and Price gets the tackle in. But if that would have been Damien Blanche, this man, that might have been a try. It might be anyway.
Oh, he couldn't get it away.
Why did he offload that?
Well, why the panic from the intercept? And that was sheer panic there from Damien Blanche. It was a great intercept from Danny Brough. Just didn't have the legs. Bang, straight into him.
To answer your question, Eddie, he passed it because he offloaded it because he knew he should have passed it earlier to that. The chance was gone, and you often see players, when they know they've made a mistake, compound it by making a second on the back of it. Here's a ball comes free from Kieran Cunningham. So Wakefield will get possession, one would imagine, from this scrum.
Well, look at the face on Danny Brough. He was looking at the line, and then I bet he has a little glance on his inside. He knew that Leon Price was coming at him, and just lost his footing at the vital moment. But Wakefield will get the ball back here from the base of that scrum. And here is Sean Gleeson. Griggs is the dummy half. Dale Ferguson, one of the rising forwards in Super League this year. John Keir said he's the cornerstone of his pack these days. Sam Obst, Danny Brough, and that's young Kyle Bibb.
Pretty solid sliding defence from Saints at the moment. Now they've gone back into a man-on-man marking.
Danny Sculthorpe, great offload. Over the top it goes. Here is Ferguson again. Ferguson could not get the ball away. A couple of tackles left in the bag here as Demetriou puts the brakes on, comes back the other way. Good defence from St Helens. A great tackle by Wilkin that low down. Here is Sculthorpe again. Fires the pass to the touch judge. Straight through the arms of Damien Blanche.
Went for the power play, came up with naught. Idea was good, but great play by Francis Melly. Never moved out of position, stayed with him. One of the things that Mick Potter has done to this St Helens defensive line is that early in the attack, the opposition, he keeps them very, very tight. And then when it gets to the third and fourth, you can see that he moves them out man on man.
The knock on here against St Helens, I think.
Well, Kalis is
Problem
hurt,
for Kalis, definitely.
Had his shoulder twisted in the tackle there. Just a little bit unfortunate here. One of the Wakefield players gets caught up in the tackle and twists his shoulder back, unfortunately, for Jason Kalis.
That's not one of those dreaded chicken wings, is it, that?
No idea.
I mean, I don't even know what that is, frankly, apart from what I have on a Sunday lunch. But his arm is over the top of Danny Sculthorpe's head.
Well, the body moved in, but I don't think there was any contact with the arm. I don't think that was intentional.
This is Brough. Here is Blaymeyer. Good hit from Gardner. Brough again. Looking busy start of this second half, Danny Brough. This is Ryan Atkins now. Sam Obst waiting. As the ball is played to him, it's Brough once again. Back it goes then to Danny Sculthorpe. Sculthorpe underneath the sticks will play it here to Obst. Obst then will find Grix. Grix off the knee of Dimitriou, but it's a penalty in front of the sticks here for Wakefield. Offside.
Bit of a problem for Matty Ashurst as well. He picked up a knock when in that last tackle.
Has he been penalised for not rolling away because he was in so much pain? I'm sure this is what the penalty was for.
This is Kyle Bibb.
Pretty tough that, Clarkie. Tough call.
Wakefield camped on that St Helens try line here. Can they make this pay? As Sculthorpe tried to fool the entire St Helens defence. Wilkin and Lomax to the rescue. Obst at dummy half. It comes back to Brough. Short ball then from him. This is Henderson. Lomax is flat out now as Blaymeyer goes on his own. And he is held up by sheer weight of numbers. Obst once again. Back it comes to Brough. Here is Grix. Grix to Sean Gleeson. Gleeson goes to ground with Damien Blanche waiting at the play of the ball. Blanche gives it to Grix. Grix gets the kick in over the top. Brough was hunting it. And it's run dead, so it's a restart on the 20-metre line. Right, down to Bill for half-time news.
Eddie, there is no Chris Flannery out there for St Helens in this second half. Chris Flannery is actually in his kit, in a car, on the motorway, heading for home. His wife, Renee, went into labour during the first half. They knew something was imminent. She was taken into hospital this morning, in fact, was sent home later because they thought it had all gone quiet. Now it's all happening. Chris Flannery has been told to get home, so he is, as I say, in his kit, in a car, and heading back to St Helens. And the kit man is furious.
Well, I wonder if he's still got his boots on. Oh, there's a problem here. There's a problem here for Wheeler and Atkins coming over the top.
He tried to step, and I think hamstring or maybe the knee or the ankle, either way. As soon as he stepped and put weight on it, it just collapsed.
Well, numbers could be a problem here for St Helens with Flannery on his way home.
Well, he leaves him
bedside.
Leaves him 17, doesn't he?
I think Ryan Atkins is a little bit naughty there too. He knew that the man was injured.
Well, Wheeler, looks like it's the ankle that's gone, you think?
Well, it could be the hamstring, the way that he just pulled up very quickly, but either way, I don't think we'll see this young fella back. It's a shame.
Dr. Bill will be on the case.
That is a shame, because I really thought he handled it well in that first half, Gary Wheeler. Scored a tremendous try, super solo effort.
This now is Oliver Wilkes. 38 consecutive appearance for Wilkes as he plays the ball to Obst. Brough, Henderson.
Wakefield have got to camp down there. They've got to make sure they're trying to get, if they can't score a try, at least get a second bite of it. Kick in the in-goal area. They need a second set of 6 at least.
Obst was lucky there, the referee judging that the fumble from him went backwards towards his own goal line. Plays the ball, it's with Grix now, and Grix stabs it in behind the defence. All after this, but it's well claimed by Lomax, and Lomax is on his way. Scrag to the ground.
Neat little kick over. It was 2-1, but Lomax read it better.
Paul Clough now for St Helens.
They were really under the cosh there, St Helens. They'll do well now. This is to keep it nice and steady. Bring on the big fellas. There's the first one.
Graham. James Graham will get to his feet and play it to Cunningham. Here is Pulatuya. Tries to run straight through Dale Ferguson then. There's some reinforcements. Brilliantly over the top to Cunningham. This is Price, here is Wilkin. And this is Ashurst, and inside to Price, and Price's second try. But he can put that down to Pulatuya, keeping that ball alive somehow over the shoulder. And Wakefield thought they had him, they thought they'd snared him, but the ball came free. And in the end, it went through the hands brilliantly, and Price with his second try of the night, right underneath the sticks. 4 for the season now for Leon Price. Try against Leeds last week on his 100th St Helens appearance, and a try against the Wildcats at home last year, and here in 2006 and 2007.
Great work. Wonderful stuff. Pulatuya should have been put down. There were 4 there. Whip. Superb. Wilkin again. Ashurst, it wasn't the best attempt by Danny Brough. And the man, Leon Price, puts himself about again. And the referee has not called held, so he's the boss. The combination with Price and Wilkin has been outstanding tonight. They've worked as 2 halfbacks, and of course with the fact that Gary Wheeler has had to leave the field of play, they're having to do that. So it'll be a Wilkin-Price combination from here on in the halfback position.
Matt Gidley adds the extras.
I'm just thinking here, I was going to ask Justin, what's the coaching teaching point here then? How do you stop this happening?
Got to lock onto the ball, and communication's so key, making sure that you're talking to the other defenders there. But he's a very, very big man and a hard man to lock up, but communication is the key in any kind of situation like that.
Oh, short kick-off from Wakefield. Ball comes free from Brough, and it's Oliver Wilkes who has it. That's a little bit of invention from Wakefield there, from the kick-off.
Tremendous, wasn't it? Saints were just basking in the glory.
Tavita Leolatu, he was running then headlong at James Graham. Graham just stood his ground, and Tavita Leolatu hit the deck. This now is Grix for Wakefield. 28-12 to Saints, 52 minutes gone. Obst, snitch to Brough. Brough then to Blaymire. Blaymire just got away on a half break. Here now is Wilkes again. Wilkes will drive it in. Right underneath the St Helens post. Obst waiting at dummy half. They'll come this way to Grix. Price was all over him as soon as he got that ball. Grix managed to get away though. Graham finishes him off. Demetriou and Brough. Up goes the kick out wide. And the ball goes to ground, and Atkins drops on it, and there's another decision here for Ian Smith to make. Tonight's video ref.
I think there's a knock on there, Eddie, slightly.
Well, Ryan Atkins, I know that nobody is celebrating much here tonight, but Ryan Atkins doesn't look terribly happy about it.
But all inside as far as that shot's concerned. It was a high kick from Brough. Murphy goes for it. He just wants to check. Yeah, they're all onside, that's fine. Now they'll go to see who made contact. And I think you'd have to say that Murphy has had enough contact with the fingertips to classify that as a knock-on. He tried his damnedest to drag it back, and this will be no try, I'm afraid, for Ryan Atkins. I think it's pretty clear there that Aaron Murphy there gets the fingertip to it. Gardner's left hand is coming down. This will be confirmation of NOTRY.
Try is chalked off. It is the handover because it was on the last tackle. Ryan Atkins denied. He's a candidate in some people's eyes to replace Keith Senior in the England setup, Ryan Atkins. Let's go down to Bill.
Eddie, the rain's starting to blow down the field into the faces of the Wakefield players. Meanwhile, problems for St Helens because Kalis has got a left shoulder problem, heavily iced at the moment, and Gary Wheeler came off with a sprained ankle, and neither of them look as though they're in a particularly convincing shape to go back on. Of course, with Chris Flannery on the motorway heading for his wife who's in labour, Saints have a few number problems, but not as far as the scoreboard goes. Anyway, just a word for Ollie Wilkes as well, because he's played most of this game with a broken nose. Broke it in that very early challenge when we saw him getting a blow to the face.
Yes, and he's still very enthusiastic. He was asking for a knock on there, but talk about enthusiasm. Look at James Graham. Great run from the St Helens prop forward. On the last tackle now, Saints, as Cunningham runs it, and Wilkin hoists the kick. And it's out, or at least the touch judge is on. He's seen something. It's a penalty to Wakefield. The numbers game tonight, Justin, could be very interesting for Mick Potter. Flannery on his way home, 2 more on the sideline, as we see here that the player was attacked probably in the air or with a forearm. But anyway, 2 not going to come back on, according to Bill Arthur. Another man on the way home. 14 into 17 doesn't really go, does it?
No, it means that some of the big men are going to have to play some minutes, and people like James Graham can play long minutes. Puliatu, also John Wilkin, and also I would imagine that some of the outside backs are going to have to come in and carry the ball, especially in yardage, if a few of the big men aren't going to get a breather. But a couple of the senior players from St Helens have really stood out for me tonight. Leon Price, his organisational skills, especially in good field position, has been excellent, and John Wilkin's involvement in and around the ruck has also been very, very positive. A couple of senior members of the Saints team making really good contributions tonight.
Here's Ollie Wilkes for Wakefield. 4th tackle after that penalty. Obst comes down this way with Grix. Drilled that into the ground. Blanches after this. Oh, there's a knock on by Lomax.
Well, he could see half a gap there, Lomax. Just took it one-handed and bounced all over the place. Just couldn't drag it in.
It was a very good kick, actually, wasn't it? It was drilled into the ground. It was bouncing and spinning all over the place, and Lomax, only a youngster.
Good kick, Eddie, because he had to come forward to collect it.
Yes.
The ball wasn't having any momentum, so the decision for him had to be coming forward onto the ball, and there's always a chance of knocking it on in that occasion.
Tavita Leolatu saw a little gap. It was quickly closed by Gidley and Wilkin. The chance here for Brough. He's over the line, but he can't get the ball down. Good defence from Ashurst. Trying to get him off Danny Brough, and he didn't get off in time. Thierry Alibert.
Well, he's complaining he couldn't move his arm. It was trapped underneath. Either way, good opportunity.
Snitch again for Wakefield.
We've been praising the St Helens forwards. They've worked really hard. They've been big and strong. But Mick Potter, their coach, will be happy with the way that they're keeping their defence pretty solid.
Here is Grix again. Oh, and the
straight
pass
to him.
straight into the arms of Lee Gilmore. He's not had his best night, Grix, has he?
No, it's been a very up and down at the moment.
Second!
It wasn't as though Lee Gilmore was running onto the ball. He just stood there.
He was loitering with intent, wasn't he?
And received it.
Here he is again, Gilmore. Plays it to Cunningham. Good work from Clough, but he couldn't get through them. Cunningham and Price.
Look at John Wilkin go. I don't know if you can see him here there. He's flying after this kick.
There he is, Wilkin, and he's the man who gets the tackle in on Aaron Murphy. Atkins.
The kick's only as good as the chase, and it was wonderful there. He's had an outstanding match. Back to his best, I feel, tonight. John Wilkin done his work both in attack and defence.
This is Brough now, looking for a 40-20. Long down and over the head of Gardner, who does well.
It's not a bad option there from Brough. He kicked on the third. But full credit there to A.D. Gardner. He read it exceptionally well. They're only left with one option now. They've got to try nearly everything of Wakefield. Keep it alive. Just test it. Maybe the chip over. They've got to come up with something different. But the big problem is they can't get the football at the moment.
Graham gets the ball away. That ball's come free from Wilkin. The
Knock
referee
on.
will say it's a knock on. Wilkin will dispute that.
Was there a fingertip in there? We'll find out.
Maybe a
hard to
knee,
say.
maybe a Danny Brough knee, maybe.
For the ball to come out like that, there's got to be some kind of interference.
Yeah. Little finger. Yeah, watch it. There you go. Can't see my ref. No.
And the touch judge on the other side couldn't either. We have eyes everywhere, though, don't we?
Thankfully.
That's where I think the referee's got to take a bit of instinct to realise that the ball to come out of the ruck in that kind of motion, there's got to be some kind of help from one of the defenders. It wasn't just a drop on the floor, so I think referees need to sometimes read the play a little bit more there.
Benefit of the doubt, you think, Justin, maybe?
I think so.
Snitch.
Ooh, it was on as well. Just couldn't release it.
Ox was hunting, wasn't he? This is Griggs. Demetriou, Gilmore all over him as soon as he reached that. Great defence from Lee Gilmore. Griggs, Gleeson, stabs the kick in again, picked
Poor
up
kick.
by Leon Price.
Well, they're losing their shape, I'm afraid, the Wildcats at the moment, going down that short blind side when really they should have had somebody calling for the ball, get a high kick.
Here is Hargreaves. Cunningham. Clough drives it in again.
With the problems for Mick Potter with the lack of numbers and replacements, it's important now that St Helens share the workload, and they're doing that exceptionally well.
Pull-a-two-year for St Helens on the last. Cunningham waiting there. And he gives it to Price, and up goes the kick from John Wilkin. It's a towering kick. Oh, Blaymire has made a mess of it. 6 to go for St Helens.
Shocking attempt, I'm afraid, by Blaymire.
Wilkin, Graham driving in. Cunningham waiting at dummy half, fires the pass to Melly. Melly went inside Blanche, but Damien Blanche stood up to the task. That's how close the Saints are. Here's Cunningham again, comes back to Leon Price. This is Wilkin, and Wilkin steps out of one challenge. It's Lomax. Lomax still going, but now he's held by Tavita Leolatu. Wilkin again. Pull-a-two-ya. Tony Pull-a-two-ya. They need to clamp that ball. Oh, it's come out from Pull-a-two-ya. The
Well,
referee
surely
says
that was-
play on.
Surely that was true.
It was pulled away from Pull-a-two-ya.
It looked that way, didn't it? Well, they had the numbers there. Well, that was so obvious. Gleeson, I mean, you could see how he was falling backwards and both arms came with him. I'm with you, Justin. Some of these referees have got to take into consideration that
The ball was also
comes out.
spinning on its axis, wasn't it?
Yeah. Got away with it.
Got away with a couple. Snitch again for Wakefield.
Big hit there from Wilkin. Snitch felt that.
Griggs. Whoops, Demetriou with a little fumble. Gilmore on him again in a flash.
That's been the problem this late in the second half is that Wakefield can't get over the advantage line.
Oh, the kick from Brough's going to sail out on the full. That's terrible from Danny Brough. That's not what we expect from him.
I'm afraid it's been a poor kicking game throughout.
They started so well from the kick-off, Steve. I remember they
Yep.
bounced it in the field of play, got head and feet at the scrum, scored early on. Won't please him. I know he said the result tonight doesn't count. He wants a performance. And Wakefield really haven't come up with a performance for him, have they?
Well, there's certainly been the effort there, but I'm afraid they just haven't been able to muscle up against this big St Helens pack. They haven't been able, as I say, get over the advantage line. And when you get the kick and chase going, then you can camp down the other end, but I'm afraid they haven't done it.
Pull-a-two-ya. Tony Pull-a-two-ya steps out of the challenge from Blaymire. And Tony Pull-a-two-ya marks his return. He missed the last two matches. He has the ability to offload like the David Solomonas and the Ali Lauatitis of this game, his fellow countrymen. He also has the ability to just power through defences, step out of tackles, and he has come up here with the try that will probably break the Wakefield resistance completely. And St Helens now in total control.
A little bit of doubt about this, and I think you'd have to say from that angle it was forward. You can see better from the wide shot, and that looked slightly forward to me, but full credit to Puliutuya. He was running back on the angle, and that's always difficult for any defence to stop. A delayed pass came on the angle. Nothing was going to stop this fella. Get out of the way. He's a big unit. A great acquisition for St Helens this year.
Third try of the season for him. Matt Gidley. And Matt Gidley adds 2 more points. 34 points to 12 now to St Helens. The last time that Mick Potter visited Bellevue, we were here to see it, and his Catalan Dragons that night won 30 points to 14. It was last July. Well, both Leeds and St Helens have scored over 30 points tonight, and Puliutuya, well, after he'd stepped through the challenge of Blaymar, it was purely academic what was going to happen. And the points difference at the end of the day in terms of Super League supremacy at the top of the table from the end of the season might be important again.
Well, you saw the run there from James Graham. It's like turning the clock back, Eddie, to the start of last season. Remember, St Helens, they were without so many forwards. They really couldn't get Kalis back on. Fozzard was injured, and this guy had to take the responsibility for, I would say, maybe 8 or 9 games at the start of the season where he had to play the full 80, and he's done exactly the same tonight. He really has rolled the sleeves up.
Puliutuya goes off after the try. Cunningham, who created it for him.
Why James Graham is such a good front row is the variation in the carries that he has. He's got a good pre-line pass. He can run up to his outside backs and do his back rowers. He can get in behind the ruck, and he's just got some great variations. Equally are good both sides of the ruck, and that's why it makes him such a complete front rower. And the fact that he can play long minutes as well is a huge advantage.
Leon Price, long ball plucked out of the air by the youngster Ashurst. Cunningham, Wilkin, Lomax, just held up short of the line on the last.
Deserved a try. Wilkin's pass was outstanding.
Cunningham, Wilkin again, wide they go. Oh, now then, there's a decision for Ian Smith coming, I think.
He'll go to the screen. He was pretty tight in that corner. Gardner's not in, he thinks he's got it. Very tight indeed. Let's see on the slow-mo. That's a try. That's a wonderful finish. A lot of people suggest that he's only a man that flops over through the quality and skill of his centre, Matt Gidley. But I can tell you now, that needed scoring. He did everything right. Going low, slides into the corner. This will be confirmation of the TRY.
Well, he was a top try scorer in Super League after the weekly rounds last year with 28. He included a couple against Wakefield in a 34-30 home win. That's his 4th try of this year. And it took some scoring that. As Steve-O said, he had to go low to the corner and make sure he didn't collide with the corner post.
They're just getting through at will now, aren't they? Johnny Lomax in support. Quick hands. Did well, Ashurst. It's been a nice finish. Good team effort. But he'll get all the plaudits, and rightly so, he should.
Nothing Aaron Murphy could do, couldn't stop him. So this is a test for Matt Gidley. 2 from 2, 2 from 3. 12 points to 38 though. St Helens Knight and Leeds are beating the Catalan Dragons by 30 plus. So it will be points difference that comes into play again at the end of tonight to see where they are on the ladder. Been a funny old night for Wakefield supporters, a very difficult night for everyone concerned with this club, and you only have to hope, because this is going to be Wakefield's first home defeat of the season, but you only have to hope that the awful events of the past 6 days will not derail their season completely. John Keir will see to it that it won't, or at least he will do all he can to make sure that it won't.
Let's not also forget, Eddie, you've got to take into account that St Helens have played some wonderful rugby league football tonight. They've worked as a unit, they really have combined well. And even though the fact they had Lomax and Gary Wheeler, of course, who's left the field with an injury, and Matty Asher, so they've acquitted themselves extremely well. They've blended in beautifully.
Well, they have. They've only got 14 fit men at the moment, haven't they?
What they have, though, Eddie, at the moment is some real mental toughness. They've 14 fit men on a wet and windy night in Wakefield, a week after they've played one of the toughest games they'll play all season against the Leeds Rhinos. And I think that the resilience they've shown, and probably, if I use the word team discipline, at times they just had to carry the ball forward, get out of their half, and they had the discipline and self-control to do that. Then they had to work hard, chase the kicks and do the defensive work, and they've shown the mindset able and capable of performing that task for the last 70 minutes.
Indeed so, and Wakefield's last home defeat came here against Castleford last August the 10th last year, so it's been a long time since the Wakefield supporters saw their team play second fiddle. But John Keir, well, he's used 25 players already this year, more than any other club, and they've yet to see Jamie Rooney, Mac Peterson or Richard Moore, and Brad Drew was not risked tonight. Was not risked tonight because they've got the Easter programme coming up. There's a penalty to Wakefield for offside. It was a fumble by Francis Melly.
Well, Johnny Lomax made a meal of it there, and then it just ricocheted back into Gardner.
So a chance here for Wakefield with Brough. And now Danny Sculthorpe. They go wide with Atkins. He finds Murphy. Gidley was strong in the tackle then. And it's Atkins again. Atkins, legs going. He's over the line, Ryan Atkins. That's a great second effort from him. He's not given it yet.
Well, the only reason he can't give it is if it's being called held.
He's asking for the grounding to be checked. I think he was unsighted. I think he was on the wrong side of the play here, the referee.
Well, he had the big figure of James Graham in his way, but this has got to be given, surely.
Nothing wrong with that. Fantastic effort from Ryan Atkins. I said that he's a candidate possibly to take over from Keith Senior, and that was Keith Senior-esque, wasn't it? Great strength, great leg drive from Ryan Atkins, and over the line for the try for Wakefield.
Well, you have to feel that it's mere consolation. But there's been some nice touches from Wakefield at times, but they've come up against a very, very strong St Helens defence. But this is all about second effort. They had 4 in at one point, finished off with 2, and Atkins showed the upper body strength to score a try that he will remember for quite some time. Maybe a couple of the St Helens players thought that the tackle had been completed. That wasn't so. If it's still moving, it's only completed if the official with the whistle says held. It wasn't. Good opportunity to try.
James Graham here, Steve, I believe the tackle was completed. Look,
and he
moved
wasn't.
Away.
You played to the whistle, and you can't tell me that he didn't realise that the referee, if the referee was shouting, he was pretty close to him. Good effort from Atkins, but mere consolation.
Okay.
Rain tumbling down again as we go downstairs to Bill.
Eddie, I know that the emphasis tonight has been on remembrance and about the memories of Leon Walker, and the mood has been sombre, but There is a bit of positive news in the Wakefield camp, and that is something good to hear, because while we were here during the week doing some filming, I noticed Richard Moore out doing some fitness work on the field. He's lost a lot of weight, but he was out there and giving it his all, as he normally does. And I understand that he could be returning to full training next week, or to the contact part of training next week, which of course, given the fact that he discovered he got Crohn's disease and the problems he's had to contend with, that would be a major step forward for the club.
Yes, it would. You're right, Bill, and I know that John Keir is a great admirer of Richard Moore and his style of play. Well, Wakefield cannot complain about the penalty count, can they? It's 10-4 in their favour. Here's Steve Snitch. Obst will find Grix. Brough.
Again, Wakefield finding it very difficult to find a chink in this Saints armour in the defensive line. It has been superb. Not many clean breaks from the Wakefield Wildcats tonight.
Sculthorpe to his feet, plays it to Obst. Here is Grix. Grix looks and finds Demetriou.
That was high from Gilmore.
It was high, and the referee agrees.
Gilmore just gives him a little tap and said, sorry, mate. Raises the arm to the French referee, Thierry Alibert. Well, will we get another consolation?
Obst. Brough fires the pass to Grix. Well, I think if Grix looks at the DVD of this match tonight, he might throw it in the bin, because it has not been his most distinguished 80 minutes.
I don't think he'll request one, Eddie. Never mind throw it in the bin. But you have nights like.
I think his coach might have 1 or 2 points to show to him during training next week.
Eddie, it is worth taking note, though. There's only one team scored more than 18 points against St Helens this year. It's pretty good to get that many. In fact, the side who did it, coached by Justin Morgan, and they went on to win the game. So if you can score 18 points against Saints, you're doing okay. Perhaps tonight just the focus wasn't quite good enough in defence.
Oh, Justin Morgan's team got 19, didn't they? It was a famous night for you. Or was it 20?
19.
19, thought it was.
Yeah, just made it nice and exciting and only win by 1.
And Huddersfield 16-8 up at Wigan. Ashurst to Graham. 5.5 minutes to go. Graham a little wearily to his feet. He's had to do a lot of work tonight. Here's Fasavalou. He took Sam Obst with him about 5 or 6 metres then. Obst was round his leg like a...
Oh, that was forward.
That was a great ball though to Clough. This time Blaymire doesn't miss the tackle. This is Cunningham. Cunningham to Leon Price. Leon Price teasing them, looking for the hat-trick. Ball goes back, gathered in by Ashurst.
Go.
Last tackle here, Gidley stabs it down the line. Oh, and that was off Aaron Murphy. That's going to be a goal line dropout.
Well, you test the skill, little kick into the corner, anything can happen.
Just a minute, the touch judge is on. Wants a word with Thierry Alibert.
Danny, come on.
Referee wants a word with Danny Brough.
Danny, no more talk. Referee, nah, he touched the ball, okay? No more.
No more talk. Do not back chat to the touch judge, I think that is translated into.
Yep. He likes to chat, does this fella. It's been a frustrating night for Danny Brough.
Well, it's only his second appearance of the season. He'd be glad to be back into it. It's not a bad goal line dropout against the wind. Lomax collects it. And here comes Bryn Hargreaves before he's halted by Sam Obst.
We spoke about these young kids, Eddie, that's coming for St Helens. Mick Potter must be extremely pleased the way that they've adapted.
There's quite a few youngsters as well for Wakefield, we shouldn't forget. Here's Leon Price though. Leon Price for the hat-trick. Leon Price gets the hat-trick. Just cut through them then. The defence just melted away, and Leon Price, he saw the try line beckoning in the corner. and was over for his hat-trick. 5th try for him of the campaign. Leon Price with a 3rd try, just putting a little bit of icing on the cake. 3 breaks, 3 tries. Great night's work from Leon Price.
He knows how to finish, that is for sure. It was a beautiful dummy, wasn't it? Great athlete's body. And when you can stride the way through, the quality of the dummy was out of the top drawer. Hat-trick for this fella, been impressive.
Making his way to the sideline, watching his hat-trick on the big screen, and it's the 6th of his career. He got 3 at Bradford. He's had 2 at Saints. 1 against Warrington in 2007, 1 against Harlequins in 2008, and this one against Wakefield in 2009, Leon Price.
And to be fair to Price, he's stepped up onto the plate, hasn't he? The situation without Sean Long, a lot of people think perhaps Saints aren't the same without the mercurial halfback, but I must say Leon Price and John Wilkin, they really have been outstanding tonight. They've taken the mantle, and they, along with their defence, has been superb.
Gidley to try and add the extras, can't do so, just pulls it in front of the posts. Well, the try from Leon Price that takes St Helens to 42 points to 18 just interrupted the thought about the youngsters in this Wakefield side, the likes of Sean Gleeson, Aaron Murphy, Jay Pitts, of course, Dale Ferguson, Kyle Bibb, all young men with a big future. But sadly tonight, on this sad night at Bellevue, not quite up to the task of beating a St Helens side that was lacking some international stars, welcomed a few more back. It was always going to be a big ask of them.
Yeah.
But when you consider that St Helens have also done this with about 14 men fit in the second half, and that's all, it's been a good display from St Helens. Been a determined display from St Helens. This is Farsavalu again, and Huddersfield have stretched the lead against Wigan, 22 points to 8 there. Here's Graham. That'll be a very good win for the Huddersfield Giants, as Wilkin hoists another high kick. It's got snow on it, this. Lucky to get away with that. Wakefield, young Aaron Murphy to the fore. We enter the last minute. St Helens have won the match. Leeds have beaten the Catalan Dragons as well, I would venture to suggest. So they march on at the top. Wakefield just can't get amongst the big boys in terms of points, but they're very much inside the top 8. Nice little dink over the top. And as Phil Clark alluded to at the start, or rather during the first half, awful injury problems at Wakefield. They've had them all season, and some seasoned pros to come back, Phil, when the time is right.
It wouldn't be natural if Wakefield hadn't been affected by the sad death of Leon Walker. They are only human, and we've seen that today. This hasn't been Wakefield at the best. The game will be over very shortly, and they'll, as a side, then need to regroup and try, if possible, then to rebuild and continue on in 2009 in the way that they started before the tragic event. Is
there a danger that the sadness could derail them?
There is a possibility of that. There is certainly that, and again, that's human emotion, isn't it? It's shocking how you deal with the bereavement.
Well, in truth, they dealt with it very well, Wakefield, but they could not deal with the threat of St Helens, who have won here by 42 points to 18. Leon Price's hat-trick was the 8th try that Saints ran in, so it's an 8-try-to-3 victory against Wakefield. It's fairly comprehensive, but the Wakefield supporters will remember this night more in the memory of Leon Walker than they will for the defeat that they've suffered to St Helens. Their most recent home win to Saints was 2007. They won 29-22. and the fullback Matt Blaymire got a try in his debut to seal the victory in the 76th minute.